My name is Micah. I am 30. I have been sober for 20 months. I lived away for 2 years. I took work in a city far from the house where I grew up. I left to breathe. I left to learn how not to drown inside a bottle. My sister is Ariel. She is 26. She planned a wedding that cost what felt like a small fortune. The invitations arrived 6 months before the day. More than 100 people came. There was music and food and folding chairs full of faces I had not seen in years. I thought I would laugh. I thought I would be an uncle in the future, a steady cousin, a presence that did not cause alarm. I had hours of meetings in my phone to prove it. I had a sobriety token with a stamped date. I had appointment cards with signatures and time stamps. I kept paper. I used email to send myself screenshots to make time-stamped copies. I believed that proof mattered. Proof matters to me because proof keeps me from slipping into the quick thinking that used to drive me. Proof proves to me that I moved forward. Proof keeps the past from being a story other people tell. Ariel spoke at the reception. Jonas, her husband, had given a soft speech before hers. He mentioned cousins and jokes and the way Ariel hummed in the car when she was nervous. The room laughed. I felt warm. I felt small and alive. Ariel walked to the microphone. She smiled like a queen at a small court. She named family members and old stories. She made people laugh. Then she looked at me. She said my name. She smiled wider. The microphone held her voice and sent it around the room. Maybe we should have a dry wedding, she said, because Micah is such an addict. The laugh filled the hall like air. The sound wrapped me. It slipped into my chest. No one else stopped. No one asked for more. The joke folded into the evening like a napkin. People took drinks again, smiled, clapped. The photographer raised the camera. A friend tapped my shoulder and said, "Light, they love you." My throat closed. Something small and sharp moved behind my ribs. I did not speak. I let the sound settle. I let the laughter thicken into distance. When the speeches ended, I walked Ariel aside. I wanted a private minute. I kept my voice low. I wanted an apology. I wanted admission that a private wound had been used as spectacle. She looked at me like I had dropped a glass. She said my name and then something else. Her voice moved up. She called me a name I had heard as a child. The name felt sharp. "Who do you think you are to bring me here and waste my time?" she said. She raised her voice. Her hands made arcs. She said loud, "It was a joke. Don't be so pissy." Her voice filled the hallway. People heard. The door of privacy opened like a stage curtain. She turned and walked back to the microphone. She moved to her father. He took her in his arms. He cried like a man who had been honored and wronged at once. He cried like a man who knew how to perform sorrow. My father, Louis, stepped toward me. He said I had ruined his daughter's day. He said I had made a scene. He said words that felt like judgment. I spoke. My voice rose. I was angry. I matched the heat he sent. I left the room. They sent texts all night and the next day. "Apologize," the messages said. "You ruined the wedding." A cousin wrote. She cried. A family group chat bloomed with accusations and demands. My mother sent a small message with a heart. She said she loved me. She also urged calm. My phone filled with books of words that shaped my world into a theater. I sat at a table in my kitchen that night and I counted what they did not count. I counted meetings. I counted the nights I had slept sober. I counted the days that had passed since a last fall. I counted the distance between then and now. I felt both grief and a brittle pride. I will tell you about the grandfather next. He was part of this wound and part of its cure. My grandfather was named Raphael. He lived and died with a chessboard on his porch table. He was sharp with money and very private with his life. He had a habit of giving small gifts that meant more than their size. He gave a locket once that held a coin. The coin had a strange symbol cut into its face. He told me stories about it when I was small. He told me that it had traveled and survived. He told me that some things hide their true value until the right hands find them. He left a will that my cousins read like a map. The cousins were greedy. They wore silk and paid for suits that fit their sense of worth. They believed fortune should be theirs by right. They assumed that a family name meant a birthright. They expected keys handed with polite bows. Ariel was their ally by marriage. Jonas had wealthy friends. The cousins circled like dogs smelling blood. They wanted inheritance. They wanted titles they had not earned. The will had a twist. Raphael had split his estate into share and task. He left money. He left the house. He also left a small directive. He wrote that the coin he carried must be returned to a person he named by a secret phrase. He had no bank account that matched any of this. He left a note that asked for humility, for honesty, for a truth that could not be bought. My family called it a game. The cousins called it a nuisance. My mother said nothing in public. My father had died years earlier. He had died the way some men die. He sacrificed a small comfort for a larger safety. He left us bread and a memory of how to say sorry. Raphael's note included a line that changed what my family chose to do on that wedding weekend. He named a place, an address tucked in the old city, and he wrote a time. He left the coin with instructions. Whoever found the true meaning of the instruction would hold a key to a secret part of the estate. That secret part of the estate belonged to a family no one knew existed. A hidden family. My grandfather kept pockets of the past tucked away. He had brothers and a sister who had left and moved where the ocean was rough. He fed them in secret. He supported them quietly. They lived in a small town and raised children who smelled of salt and honest work. When the joke happened in the reception, the will's secret mattered less to the room than volume. The cousins exploited the opening. They said, "See, the family is messy. Let us take the map. Let us run the numbers." I had a lawyer friend named Priya. She was quick with facts and slower with judgments. She said, after I called, that proof matters. She said to gather everything, to label everything, to create a chain of custody for digital notes and mailed letters. She told me to email myself copies of texts. She told me to print appointment cards and get signatures. She told me the law might not save me, but the record would. I learned, in these months, how records speak. They have a voice that can be louder than a room. They can show that you existed beyond a joke. I will tell you about my motives. I will tell you about the hunger that drove the choices I made at the reception and after. My primary motive was survival. My inner motive was dignity. My external motive was a wish for reconciliation that would not require erasing the humiliation. I wanted to hold my place in the family without being reduced to a caricature. My main flaw is a short fuse and a hunger for fairness. I will not tolerate mockery that strips me to my worst day. I have also a habit of testing my limits. In the past, that meant bottles. Now it meant tests of patience. When the world seemed to forgive cruelty if it came with a smile, I flared. Ariel never had a temper. She had a hunger for applause. Her jokes were a tool. She used them to be the center. She rarely stopped to see the harm. She saw herself as the star of family narratives. People loved her. People excused her. The father, Louis, had his flaws. He loved display. He loved a neat story where his daughter's wedding was the crown. He had a habit of protecting the image while ignoring the wound. He stood in the doorway and chose the show. My mother, Rosa, was the quiet anchor. She loved quietly, made meals that healed, and gave notes to both sides. She was resilient. She never chose well when conflict rose. She smiled and offered tea and prayers. The legal minor characters moved like tools. A driver named Mateo had taken my father to the hospital a decade before. A cousin named Victor arranged vendors. A lawyer named Priya sent me careful emails that read like a map. After the reception, I did what Priya advised. I printed messages. I made dated folders. I put each screenshot into a file and labeled it with a server time. I wrote a short letter to Ariel and to my father. I mailed it with delivery confirmation. I also made a decision about contact. I would limit exposure. I would not speak to the group chat for a while. I blocked phone numbers that felt loud. I did not want to erase them from my life forever. I needed time. Months passed. The cousins tried to push the will's secret into an auction. They wanted to sell what they did not understand. They filed documents that smelled of greed. They opened an argument about the coin and the hidden family, about who had right to decide. Priya told me to be patient. She told me to document every email. The twist arrived late. It came when a woman from the secret town called my number. She found me because Raphael had left a small note in a library ledger that only she knew to check. Her name was Anna. She spoke with a voice that smelled of salt and frankness. She told me that Raphael had been a steady hand for years. She told me that he had funded a small school and had kept letters in a locked box that only she and her siblings had access to. Anna's message reoriented everything. The coin was not meant for auction. It was meant to be a bridge. Raphael had left the coin to the family that kept him honest. He had told them to share their part of the estate with a household he had once neglected. The money was a key to repair, not a prize. The cousins erupted. They said Anna had no proof. They showed screen copies and receipts and old photos. I sent Priya the letters Anna had shown me. I printed them. I put them in evidence bags. I asked a notary to witness signatures. I recorded a timeline with dates that matched meeting cards and emails. During this time, my sobriety was a fragile lamp. I went to meetings. I read notes in a small blue book. I called my sponsor at night. He would answer with a calm voice and remind me to breathe. He said simple things that felt like hands. Hold the line, keep records, do not meet the bait. Ariel attempted a small apology later. She sent a message that said, "I am sorry you felt hurt." The message lacked detail. It avoided naming the harm. It sounded like a bandage over a wound. I wrote back with one sentence, "I will not accept public humiliation. If you want to talk, request a mediated meeting." She did not request the meeting for long. The cousins pushed a different narrative that framed me as the troublemaker. They said I had snatched the spotlight. They said I had created drama and that weddings are tests. Social opinion tilted and changed with rumor. I will tell you my choice. I chose low contact. I chose the small rituals that keep me steady. I chose my sponsor and meetings and the blue book that has my notes. I chose the community outside the bloodline that kept me alive. The hidden family, Anna and her siblings, came forward. They had pages. They had receipts from small stores where Raphael had bought grain and given it away. They had letters from neighbors who remembered his visits. They had a ledger that listed payments and dates. They had people willing to swear to what they had seen. The cousins tried to fight this with lawyers and loud voices. They filed papers. Priya advised restraint and open records. She told me to show the ledger in a neutral place and be careful with public words that inflamed. A twist arrived that none of us expected. Victor, one cousin who had been loudest, had a private debt. He was the kind of man who protected his image with loans that had interest and threats. A vendor's invoice appeared that linked him to questionable loans. The vendor had a recorded call that showed Victor promising a payment he could not meet. When the ledger of Raphael matched the dates he had given grain to a small family Victor had mocked, Victor's argument felt empty. The court of public opinion is fickle. It shifts when new facts arrive. It does not care for quiet truth. It responds to drama and proof. When Anna's ledger reached a small local paper, people read it. Some family members called and asked for an explanation. A few sent private messages that said, "We did not know." I will tell you about the hardest day. It was a winter morning when I drove to the small town where Anna lived. I sat on a bench near the sea. I held the coin Raphael had left me. It was small, worn, and heavier than it looked. When I held it, I thought of my father and the way he taught me to hold a promise. Anna arrived with her brothers. They walked up like people who had been waiting on truth. We sat and spoke. They told me stories about Raphael that I had not heard. They told me he had been ashamed of the family division and had tried to repair it without drama. They told me he believed that the measure of a man was the good he did quietly. I told them about the wedding. I told them about the joke and the way my father had chosen the image over the person. They listened. They offered a simple idea. They said the coin was theirs to hold as a symbol. They offered a portion of the estate to set up a center where recovery and trade skills could be taught to the small town and to our city. The idea threaded like a needle. It stitched two wounds. It offered work and dignity. It would give the cousins less theater and more accountability. It would ask my family to answer for how they treated each other. When I brought the idea home, the house split. The cousins called it a theft of rightful claim. My uncle and aunt, who had always wanted power, scoffed. They had risen in years through small humiliations. They preferred titles and comfortable lives. They refused to accept loss. My mother sat with me and said two simple truths. She said, "Families break." She said, "Some breaks heal." She also said, "You must protect the life you built." That night, Ariel called. She said she wanted to talk. She said the wedding had taken a toll and that she had been wrong. Her voice was soft and worn. It sounded like someone who was bruised by applause. I listened. I did not forgive in full. I offered a boundary, a mediated meeting with Anna and a lawyer. She said yes. She promised a public apology that named the harm. It arrived months later via a letter read in a small room where a mediator sat. She said clearly, I used your pain for a laugh. That was wrong. I am sorry. The apology did not erase months of hurt. It did not fix a father's choice. It opened a door. The arc of my inner life shifted in small steps. I did not become whole overnight. I learned to name what I needed. I learned to refuse humiliation when it presented as a joke. I removed my phone from the family group chat. I wrote a short list of rules for myself that read like a ledger. Rule 1. Do not accept humiliation as entertainment. Rule 2. Document what matters. Rule 3. Seek mediation before escalation. Rule 4. Protect the people who keep you steady. I will tell you about a quieter payoff that felt like a small miracle. The cousins who pushed greed eventually had to answer to their vendors. The contracts they had signed required truth. The vendors demanded payment. The cousins faced public lists of debts. Some of them had to sell things they had bought with air. Pride is heavy when paper proves otherwise. The hidden family joined with us to open a small center. We called it the Harbor House. It taught skills and hosted meetings. It taught carpentry and classes about structure. It offered a room where people could meet their sponsors and sit with a cup of tea in quiet. It was small but honest. People from both towns crossed a bridge and exchanged stories. A twist occurred in the center's early days. A former cousin who had been loud returned as a volunteer in disguise. He worked quietly in the woodshop. He built benches with hands that had once been invested in show. He was sober for a year. No one announced his arrival. He did not seek praise. He worked for skill. When he left a note that said, "Your past does not own your life." He left that on a bench that we still use. I will tell you about the ending that suited me. My father never offered a public apology. He sent a small letter once that said he had chosen order and that he regretted not listening. He did not face the harbor. He did not enter the room where we read the letter from Ariel. Ariel and I kept a distance that allowed new truth to grow. We met once a month at a neutral place. We spoke short sentences. We did not pretend to be the children of a perfect family. We accepted the work. My grandfather's coin stayed in the Harbor House on a small shelf. It is not valuable in the way the cousins hoped. Its value is in the path it made. It showed where quiet help matters more than loud claim. I keep my records in a soft blue folder. I keep appointment cards and emails. The ledger from Anna sits in a 3-ring binder. Priya has a copy. I have a photocopy of the delivery confirmation for the letter I mailed to Ariel and to my father. I show the documents only when necessary. They are not a weapon. They are a memory of work. This is the arc I offer to you as a writer. Build characters who hold contradictions. Make the protagonist flawed and honest. Let someone who once drank become the person who documents. Let a woman who uses jokes to hide pain become the person who learns to name harm. Let greedy cousins find humility through labor, not shame. Let a secret family reveal that dignity and small repairs outweigh a loud claim. Write dialogue that shows, not tells. When Ariel first apologized, she did not use the word guilt. She used images of being small on a stage. She told one story about the way she had once been applauded and how applause had become a habit. That line told more than an apology ever could. When my mother spoke, she used few words. She named food and bread and small kindness. That showed what she valued. When my grandfather's ledger arrived, it had a single note in his hand that read, "Give to those who will keep truth." That sentence shaped the plot and showed the man's secret. Plot twists should feel earned. Raphael's secret was not out of nowhere. It existed in letters he had left in marginalia. Small clues had appeared in earlier chapters. The gardener who remembered his visits. The neighbor who had once been given grain. The child who had played with Raphael's coins. These threads allowed the twist to be both surprise and truth. Build conflict in layers. The wedding offered a public, immediate wound. The will offered a longer, structural fight. The cousins' greed created external stakes. My inner battle with shame created an internal one. Balance escalation with quiet release. After a loud insult, show the protagonist at a meeting with a sponsor. After a legal skirmish, let him make tea and breathe. Packing must hold breath, then release it. Move fast when facts shift. Slow down when a character heals. Let readers rest in moments where someone learns a small truth. End with a memorable image that ties theme and arc. For me, it was the Harbor House and the coin on the shelf. The coin did not glitter. It sat with other small objects. A chipped mug, a stack of meeting chips, an old chess pawn. Together, these objects tell us what matters. A final image. I sit on a bench at the harbor house. A child runs by with a wooden truck. I hold a mug of coffee. I watch and breathe. I count days and meetings and friends who held me when I needed them. I am not whole, but I am steady. Here are the character notes that make them live. Micah, protagonist, 30, sober 20 months. Quiet manner. Habit, counts things. Strength, resilience. Flaw, quick temper when fairness tilts. Goal, keep sobriety and hold dignity. Voice, short sentences. Habit, a small blue notebook for meetings. Ariel, sister, 26. Bright, sharp, applause-seeking. Strength, charisma. Flaw, uses humor to shield vulnerability. Arc, learns to name harm and gives a slow apology. Habit, taps a ring when nervous. Lewis, father, late 50s. Protector of image. Strength, social grace. Flaw, avoids hard truths to keep peace. Arc, regret without fully stepping in. Habit, fixes tie and mirror. Rosa, mother, mid-50s. Quiet strength. Strength, resilience and hospitality. Flaw, avoids conflict until necessary. Arc, becomes bridge between families. Habit, brews herbal tea. Raphael, grandfather, deceased. Shrewd, secretive. Strength, private charity. Flaw, secret causes confusion. Arc, his posthumous directives force truth. Habit, chess and small gifts. Anna, hidden family matriarch, early 60s. Warm, grounded. Strength, memory of truth. Flaw, reluctance to trust outsiders. Arc, leads reconciliation through honest ledger. Habit, hums while she works. Victor and cousins, greedy, arrogant, materialistic. Strength, resourceful. Flaw, entitlement. Arc, some fall, one seeks quiet repair. Habit, checks bank app. Priya, lawyer, early 30s. Direct, methodical. Role, keeps records, advises careful steps. Habit, sends concise emails at odd hours. Minor, Mateo, driver, honest. Elena, mediator. Tomas, vendor who files invoices. Dialogue must reveal who they are. Micah to Ariel at the hallway. You called me an addict, in front of everyone. Ariel, it was a joke. Micah, it was my life, it is not a joke to me. Ariel, you overreact. Micah, I told you I am sober, I asked for respect. Ariel, who are you to pull me? This is my night. Micah, it was your choice to speak of me. Ariel in her apology letter. I used your hurt to get a laugh. That was wrong. I will learn to do better. Priya to Micah. Print everything. Save server times. Email the screenshots to yourself. Get delivery proof. Anna to Micah on the bench. Raphael thought repair matters more than claim. He hid his prayers in ledgers. He gave when none watched. Victor in a vendor call left on record. I promise payment now. I will have funds next month. The vendor replies. Record signed. Next month is overdue. The twist lines show motive and truth. Conflict ends in layered resolution. The harbor house opens. The cousins lose the chance to make an easy fortune. Some leave with pride. One returns to work with quiet hands. The ending gives a final lesson. Protection of self matters. Boundaries heal the parts that were raw. Dignity is a daily practice. I will close with the reflection I was asked to offer. Setting boundaries with the people you love most is the hardest thing. Sometimes it is the only way to save the relationship and yourself. Have you ever had to set a difficult financial or emotional boundary with family? How did it turn out?